Welcome to Garage Gym Athlete Cooldowns. These episodes are short, actionable podcasts pulled from previous interviews and content we've been publishing for the last several years. So go for a walk, hop on the rower, or clip into the bike for this cooldown episode. Kind of jump back to GHB. I actually, the only reason I'm even familiar with it is because I was into bodybuilding about a decade ago, and it's very common. Is that something that you still recommend?
Well, it is a Schedule 1 drug still listed by the DEA. So that means that it is not approved for any other use aside for approved medical uses. Now, it is approved for the treatment of cataplexy and in narcolepsy, but a doctor can write what's called off-label writing prescriptions. So let's say somebody comes in with Parkinson's disease that's got sleep troubles. That doctor could write a prescription for sodium oxybate, which is what the pharmaceutical company calls it, or what is called GHB. They can write a prescription for GHB under the brand name Xyrem, and that person can get a prescription. But it's no longer available at GNC as it once was. So it's very difficult to come by, which is a bit, I understand why there's such serious regulation. Look at the OxyContin scourge on our society, and the FDA and other bodies like that are really afraid of releasing something that into the public, particularly with the notoriety that GHB had, absorbing a lot of the notoriety from Rohypnol, the kind of former date rape drug. And I'm sort of talking as assuming people know, but GHB is considered a date rape drug. It was called the date rape drug, in fact, but there's over 60 different compounds that can be used in sexually facilitated assault. So anything that will cause somebody sedation, alcohol being the number one. Almost half of cases have alcohol present when somebody appears at a abuse in the ER room and claims to have been sexually assaulted. So you can imagine that things like marijuana and alcohol are the top candidates, and it's actually very few incidents involve GHB, yet it absorbed a lot of that notoriety. And so that was very difficult challenge as the company Orphan Medical, and then which became Jazz, was trying to then actually get an official approval. But I'm hopeful that it'll be explored for more conditions, particularly Alzheimer's disease, because we're now understanding that while Alzheimer's disease has possibly many different causes, one possibly fundamental or primary cause is the disruption to sleep. And what ended up happening is there's this vicious cycle where the less our brains are able to produce slow wave sleep, which is the very deep, high amplitude, slow frequency rhythms that take place across the night, then the more that we accumulate beta amyloid, which is one of the two hallmark characteristics of the condition, beta amyloid and also tau proteins and neurofibrillary tangles. Anyway, that once we're unable to then generate slow wave sleep, then this beta amyloid accumulates in the area of the brain that is responsible for generating slow wave sleep. And so the less you do it, the less you're able to do it. And GHB has a very unique pharmacological profile in that instead of just helping you get to sleep, but then reducing the depth of sleep that you get into, it actually very robustly increases slow wave sleep, which is the stage where your body is restoring mostly. So it's a fascinating drug. A lot of different conditions, both neurological and psychiatric, and even physical and pain conditions could benefit from it. So I hope that those areas are continued to be explored by the company.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, just that's typically the government's reaction to almost any, and I do see, how things can be utilized in such a negative way, but it's just to like lock it up, and it's not available for basically anything, and then it takes all this like pawing back to try and get it useful for some level, some people who might actually need it. So I just want to get your opinion as someone who's been very close to that topic, and it's very interesting to hear about it.
Yeah, it's frustrating because the company would not want to necessarily risk their financial incentive is not to necessarily risk their baby, which is this very it's a $10 billion market cap company out of Palo Alto. That's a lot for them to risk in order for them to pursue an indication that's non-orphan. So orphan conditions have less than 200,000 people with the condition in the United States. We now have a huge and growing population of people that have dementias, including Alzheimer's disease and even Parkinsonian disease. And so, yes, there's potential there, but there's also some risk aversion, I would say. And so it's a bit sad to me.
Thanks for listening to today's Cool Down. If for some ridiculous reason you are not subscribed to Garage Gym Athlete programming, fix that problem right now. Go to GarageGymAthlete.com, sign up for a free trial, get started with us today. Thanks for listening.